So I tried doing my channel art, and if you saw it, you saw some horrible, crappy thing. And so I'm gonna have to rework my channel art quite a bit in order for it. So right now, you're basically getting a default channel art because I can't revert it back to the original default that happened for whatever reason or something like that. By the way, I also have some bad news. I have to redo this video because the audio was horrible. I'm not as spirit broken because it was a short video, so maybe this will be a little bit shorter. Maybe I'll concise, get to the point and stuff in this particular video. But I'm not exactly too disappointed because the audio was fine. The audio took recorded audio, but my microphone was not in the place that I wanted to. So anyway, hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon discussion. Today's topic is, are we getting a new Pokemon? Is 7th generation around the corner? Basically, I want to get these mentions in the before the image of this supposed new Pokemon. I am giving credit to someone who lives in Japan, I believe, who went and saw the movie. Her name is Jin Chan-san at Free or whatever. I'm going to leave a description, or I'm going to leave a link in the description below going to her Twitter. She is the one that drew these particular images of the supposed brand new Pokemon. So anyway, let's basically jump right into this. So is this particular Pokemon brand new? Basically, based on its very simple, basic appearance, maybe not. It may not actually be a Pokemon, but in the off chance it is, we need to discuss it as a possibility of it being a brand new Pokemon. So basically what we get is a blob with an eyeball. That's very, very basic looking, but it's also green, which may support a possible theory that will happen. As I said in my previous video of Zygarde, when we were discussing the possible new form of Zygarde, or even Mega Evolution of Zygarde, or something of that nature, that we saw images of. What was I going to say about that? I mentioned the possibility that 7th generation, based on the pacing of the XY anime series, implied that 7th generation was around the corner. Now that we got a potential brand new Pokemon, it seems that this possibility is a lot more likely, which means that next June or July, it may be possible we're getting the last XY movie, and sometime in October, we're possibly going to get 7th generation. Which unfortunately means we're not going to get third versions for the Kalos region. No Pokemon Z, no Pokemon X2, Y2, no versions of anything of that nature. It seems like we may just go straight into 7th generation. And I said I'm a little disappointed because that means the XY series anime is going to speed up, and for Pokemon like Noibat, that's going to be very troubling to see. Now let's discuss this particular new Pokemon. As you're seeing right now, you're seeing some images of this particular Pokemon. These are just drawn images of what Jin, who went and saw the movie, this is what she saw. She saw these particular images. Basically, like I said, it's some blob with some sort of eyeball, and apparently it's bright green based on one image or whatever, and it says it's a bright green. Now, basically the thing is, this is probably, if it's a Pokemon, I feel like it's going to be a symbiotic Pokemon if it is a brand new Pokemon, and there's a reason why I say this. I don't know how accurate it is, but Ken Sugimori said that he may have wanted Generation 7 to be very simplified. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's accurate or whatever, but Ken Sugimori, you may have wanted Pokemon to be simplified for the next generation, but I don't think anyone wants this particular simplification. Okay? I'm not going to outright say that this Pokemon is hideous and it shouldn't exist if it is a brand new Pokemon, but at the same time, it's not going to be the most exciting Pokemon that the possible 7th generation has to introduce, because it is very basic. It's basically a blob with an eye and it's green. Now the difference is, but what about Roggenrola? The difference is Roggenrola, even though it was kind of basic, it at least looked like it could use Pokemon moves. It looked like it could use Stone Edge or Sandstorm or the Luster or Flash Cannon. It looked like it could use those moves. This one looks a little bit too basic, that it's basically like Unknown. And the thing with Unknown is that even though it was a neat concept to introduce a Pokemon that had multiple forms, especially one that was in the design of the alphabet, you got A Unknown, B Unknown, C Unknown, all the way to exclamation and question mark Unknown, although I'm not entirely sure why those exist, but apparently they do. The thing is, this Pokemon looks like that, and Unknown is a Pokemon that can only learn one move, and that's Hidden Power. A very weird concept for a Pokemon, but fine. It fit the mythology of the generation, and I will accept this as possibly fitting whatever mythology thing or whatever. But because it looks so basic, and I can't imagine it using very many moves, especially when it's bright green, and I'm not sure that means it's a grass type. If it was a grass type, maybe I could see it using like Razor Leaf or Absorb or Mega Drain. Maybe I could see moves like that. But I feel like this Pokemon is going to be so basic, if it is a brand new Pokemon, that it's not going to be able to learn very many moves, and it's just going to be basically a extraneous Pokemon that will only have certain appeal in some fashions, you know? I mean, I suppose it could be like Gumi, and maybe it'll evolve into something amazing or whatever, but it's not looking at that like that, because I feel like this is mostly going to be a symbiotic Pokemon, because if that's what they're choosing to introduce the 7th generation with, even if it is a symbiotic Pokemon, I'm going to be a little disappointed, because I feel like they could have done a lot better than what we see. Now again, it's not perfect. It basically might end up being Gumi. Maybe some people think it'll end up like Gumi, and that's perfectly fine. If it semi-resembles Gumi in some fashion, but is green in nature, then I will be perfectly okay with that. But it being a new Pokemon isn't the only theory going around in the forums or possibilities. Whew. Sorry. There's also the possibility that maybe this particular Pokemon isn't actually a Pokemon at all. Maybe it's something relating to a other Pokemon that does currently exist. Maybe it has some relation to Zygarde. Whether this means that this particular Pokemon is the regression larval form of Zygarde that it needs to become just so it can get away from certain dangers or do something else, I'm not really sure. It wouldn't really make that much sense if it was relating to Zygarde, as in terms of a form change or whatever. But basically, I think more likely, as opposed to it being a form of Zygarde, is that it might just be a body part relating to Zygarde. Now, the reason why I have problems with it just being a body part to Zygarde is that there are certain things that I really do not want to be anime-only concepts, which means if this is a body part for Zygarde, I really hope in the games there's some mention of this, and that this isn't just being made up. If the new form of Zygarde, or even its Mega Evolution, has flavor text in terms of Pokedex entries, and it says that it can create little sentries, little blob sentries, where it can use to extend its own vision, like it's creating an eyeball and it's being sent hundreds of feet away, and it gives it more range to be able to see further, then that would be fine. If there was some flavor text in the games, then I would be perfectly okay with this. If there's nothing in the games relating to this particular concept of it being basically an extra eyeball that Zygarde is using, and there's no hint of this, I'm going to be disappointed, because I really have a problem with severe anime-only concepts. If it makes logical sense, and it hints at it in the games, or it just makes logical sense, like saying using Vine Whip in a different way than it's intended, if it makes sense, then I'm fine with anime-only concepts, because those would actually make sense. But if you're going to create an entirely brand new anime-only concept that isn't even remotely hinted at in the games or whatever, in some fashion or another, or you can draw from the games, then I'm not sure I'm going to like this. So I am going to be disappointed if this is a really only anime-only concept, if it is some sort of body part for Zygarde. Now, if this is a brand new Pokemon, like I said, I feel like it's going to have a symbiotic relationship. It's going to be like Manaphy or Fiona, or Fione, Manaphy, Fiona, however you want to pronounce it, or maybe like Mantine and Remoraid, or something of that nature. And I feel like it's going to, if it is a brand new Pokemon, it's going to have a symbiotic relationship. I have no problem if it only exists just to have a symbiotic relationship to Zygarde. So it's basically, I don't know, like, a Pokemon that was created just for the sole purpose of having a symbiotic relationship with Zygarde, just so it can have this particular concept in the anime, is perfectly okay with me. If Zygarde has a telepathic connection to this particular blob creature, so that it could see things or whatever it would do, or maybe Zygarde eats these particular Pokemon things, or it absorbs the energy of these particular creatures, then that would be fine. I'm perfectly fine with the Pokemon that exist like Unknown, that can only learn one move or no moves. Well, I think it would have to learn at least one move, otherwise it would be a very unusual Pokemon. But I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with extra bonus Pokemon that really have no reason to exist outside of being related in some sort of relationship with another Pokemon. That's perfectly fine. Think of it as like Cherubi, but not quite like Cherubi. You know, Cherubi is like that cherry little Pokemon that looks like a cherry. It has its main body in a little thing or whatever. If Cherubi only learned like Absorb or, I don't know, growth of some sort or something like that, and it only exists just so it could evolve into Cherim, that would be fine too. I'm perfectly okay with these random Pokemon, you know, as long as they're new Pokemon. That's would be interesting. Maybe people will like this. But because it's so basic, I don't know if I mentioned this in this particular video or the video that had horrible audio. Not no audio, it had horrible audio. This looks like it's too basic to be able to use any moves. If it was a grass type, maybe it would make sense. But basically, this is just so basic. It's basically going to be like Unown, if anything. Maybe this particular Pokemon can evolve into something that looks a little bit better. I don't know. Is this a new type that 7th Gen is going to introduce? I kind of hope not, because unless there's 2 types revealed in 7th generation, we're going to be back to an odd number of types. Right now we have 18 types. That's perfect. We should be fine with this. So maybe this is some sort of fairy type. I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances are in terms. I would have to make a video of this when we actually get to see it in its full showing. So let's wrap this up. So basically, the 3 theories are: it's a brand new Pokemon, which means 7th generation is right around the corner. If it's not a new Pokemon, it's a larval regressed form of Zygarde, which, like I said, doesn't really make much sense because that would be too drastic of a difference, but I can see it happening. Or the third possibility, it's some sort of body part that Zygarde can produce or excrete off its body, you know, like shed off its body, you know, basically an eyeball falling on the ground that somehow has legs walking around. I know, creepy, but basically that's what it is. If it is a brand new Pokemon, I'm not sure I'm going to quite like this Pokemon, but hey, it's a brand new Pokemon. I'll enjoy it because it's new, exciting, but I'm not sure I'm going to be too thrilled about it unless I learn more information about it. If it is a baby regressed form of Zygarde, I'm going to wonder why they decided to bother with this. But fine, whatever, I'll accept it if it is. If it's a body part, I'm hoping that this particular aspect of Zygarde is in the actual games and they're just not making this solely just for the anime. I hope there's some mention of it in the game. So anyway, this covers this particular discussion. As for other videos, basically I have projects coming up that I'm going to be hopefully working on. There's going to be some anime discussions coming up because I dropped the ball. I didn't quite mention everything that was there to mention, and there's some other projects coming, some other Pokemon related discussions and aspects and stuff. I will be hopefully being able to upload me playing a game really soon that's not Pokemon related, but just saying gaming related. If you're interested in my gaming content, there is a game that I already completed and I just need to edit and upload, so that's coming, even though it's not related to Pokemon. So anyway, this pretty much covers this particular video, so thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.